Hey, Get the Pen family. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel today. My name is Janine Folks. This is a Get the Pen moment. I hope you subscribe if you have. Thank you so much, and I hope you do after we talk a little bit, after we share this Get the Pen moment. So today I want to talk about capacity and limitations. Capacity simply means like how much you can hold or how much we can handle. We all have a certain capacity, which is an amount or volume that we can contain. That means we all have limitations. And I want to just encourage you today to make peace with your limitations. And we have to be careful with that. We need to know when to make peace with our limitations, when we can recognize that we are at capacity. This is all we can do. And we need to stop and we need to set boundaries that don't make us go beyond our limitations, because when you extend yourself beyond what you can handle, you're putting yourself at risk. And so we want to protect ourselves by creating those boundaries that support our limitations. So, being at peace with our limitations. I'm 55 years old and I just celebrated my 55th year of life. And at 55, I have to start realizing that I have certain limitations. My age puts certain limits on me, and my capacity in certain things, in certain areas, has decreased, but in other areas, my capacity for certain things have increased. It's all about being aware of where you are and being aware of your own personal limits you um, that you either set for yourself or that circumstances set for you. Some of our limitations may be physical, some of them may be financial, and some of them may even be emotional. But we just have to know what those limitations are. If I have a financial limitation, it does not make sense for me to try to go beyond my financial limits just to accomplish something that is just going to set me up for failure. So I have to be aware of those limitations. My physical limitations, my body doesn't have the capacity to do certain things anymore. So I have to be at peace with those limitations. Now, at the same time, with limitations that we may have, if we work on certain things, we may be able to expand our capacity and increase our limits. It's all personal and it's all about how you discern. But when you recognize that there is a limitation and it is fixed and there's nothing that could be reversed or undone, we need to make peace with it, make peace with our limitations. And what we also need to do is learn how to pace ourselves and push ourselves. I am big on self-care, and with a lot of my clients, I'm always encouraging self-care, especially for caregivers, because you can't be a caregiver and neglect yourself, because you may go down, and then who's going to take care of your loved ones? So you have to take care of yourself first in order to be the best caregiver that you can be for the person that you love. So we have to know the difference between pacing ourselves and pushing ourselves. Sometimes we do have to push ourselves in order to get stronger and in order to increase our capacity when we need to, okay? Like, for instance, if we're working out and I say I'm going to do 5 minutes on the elliptical, I might push myself to do 10 minutes, or I might push myself to do 20, and I can expand my capacity as far as my time limits on an elliptical. But if I'm not feeling well and my limit needs to be 10 or 15 minutes, I have to know the difference between when I need to back off, because sometimes when we push ourselves, we can cause injury to ourselves. So it is a very delicate as far as recognizing when we need to push ourselves and when we need to pace ourselves. And when we pace ourselves, that's kind of like might be scaling back or slowing down according to our abilities. And we have to be aware of our abilities. And sometimes We can be too easy on ourselves. I know when I go to the gym, I like going to classes with other people because they hold me accountable and they push myself in ways that I would never, because I after 10 minutes I will be done. But because of the class, I will push myself, but we still have to be careful because it is possible to push yourself too hard. So be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, push yourself when you need to, pace yourself when you need to. I have a funny story. Well, it's not really funny, but it was eye opening to me as I wrap up. I was at TJ Maxx and I have put myself on a budget because I have some financial goals that I have set for myself. So sometimes I will allow myself to shop and give myself a limit. So there were some items that I put in the cart. When I got up to the register, when she gave me the total, I had gone a little bit over the limit that I had set for myself. So I decided to put a pair of pants back. And I said, well, I'm not going to get these. So, put these back. And the cashier, she was like, oh, well, maybe when you get the money, they'll still be here. And I said, what? I said, well, it's not about that. I have the money. I'm just trying to be disciplined. And she was like, oh, oh. And so, first of all, you can't count people's pockets or assume their financial situation. But the thing was, I was using discipline. I knew my limits and I was respecting my limit, and I was not going to go over it because I wanted to be disciplined. And I don't know, who that will help, but just because we have it doesn't mean we need to spend it. We need to stick with the plan, stay within our limits, honor the limits that we have set for ourselves, honor the limits that have been set for us, sometimes involuntarily, sometimes physical limitations that we need to honor. But nonetheless, limits are limits, and we need to be aware of them and honor them. And we can push past our limits. I could have just said, oh, I could have justified in my head going over my limit as far as the budget with the shopping, but why? Why? Because then I'll only be mad at myself when I haven't reached my financial goal at the end of the month. So in order to stay accountable to myself, I put it back, because not because I couldn't afford it, but because I wanted to be disciplined. And I just pray for all of us to be more disciplined, to be at peace with our limitations, to know when to pace ourselves and when to push ourselves. This has been a Get the Pen moment. My name is Janine. Have a great one. Thank you.